whatever happened, hindi lang yun nangyari. Hindi lang natin kailangan tanggapin na ganun yung nangyari. We need to actually move on and get better. And how do we do that? We do that by finding the meaning of what happened. I really believe that you can only win or learn in life. And if you're in pain, then that means you can learn something from the pain. Welcome to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host for today. And before we start the podcast, gusto ko muna magpasalamat. Gusto kong i-express ang aking gratitude sa lahat ng taong nag-click ngayon at nakikinig ngayon dito sa podcast na to. I haven't posted anything for 2 months. Pero seeing you here right now, listening to this podcast, I couldn't be more grateful for you guys. Honestly, I am very, very appreciative sa lahat ng tao na ikinig ngayon. So please, if you're listening right now, let me know and send me a screenshot so I could thank you personally. Post it on your Instagram, on Twitter, or kahit saan. Just let me know that you're listening and I'll thank you personally because this podcast is a very hard podcast for me kasi it's one that I am doing after a few weeks that has been very hard for me. I don't want to go into details and I don't want to bore you with the specifics, pero this past few weeks have been very, very hard for me. And seeing that a lot of people still actually give a shit about the podcast makes my heart happy. So please, let me know that you're listening so I can thank you. Pero kung hindi man, gusto ko lang malaman ninyo na I'm really, really thankful for you guys. Ayun lang. And another one, I have 2 announcements. I'll announce the first one right now. I'll announce the second one after. Before matapos tong podcast, after the topic. The first announcement is I kind of regret not posting anything kasi I know that the podcast could have been a great way to voice out what I've been reflecting for the past few weeks, and I've just, sinolo ko lang kasi and I really, really regret that. I wanted, kung pwede lang mabalik ko yun, and I had to share. Pero, I dealt it the way I knew how, and kasi alam ko naman maraming tao ang nakaka-relate dito na hindi lang naman ako nakakaranas ng mga ganitong klaseng emotions and experiences. So if I could have shared it with you guys, you could have probably helped me and helped me move on and go through this process more smoothly. Kaya with that being said, I am announcing that this podcast will be a weekly podcast. I am committing myself in producing weekly podcasts. For the past 3-4 months, I think I posted monthly, and nakapanghinayang kasi there are a lot of things that I could share with you guys that we could talk about. Kaya I am committing myself in producing weekly podcasts for you guys. No matter how hard it will get, I will produce every week. You can hold me accountable, tag me, i-Instagram nyo ako, pahiya nyo ako kung hindi ko magawa yan, pero I am committing myself every week. Maglalabas ako ng podcast starting today. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how hectic it gets, kahit gaano kaikli yan, and kung nasan man ako, maglalabas ako ng podcast. I promise you that. I'm committing myself to that. That's the first announcement, and I'll announce the second one later. Now, today's topic is going to be all about the 6 stages of grief. This is based from the very famous model of 5 stages of grief na you may have probably heard, or you probably know this. Some people of you know this, pero I base it on that one. Meron ding 7 stages of grief, meron namang 5, and the 5 stages of grief is the original one, and I based it down. Then meron lang akong dinagdag na isang stage ng grief na I think everyone needs to hear. And okay, you might be asking, this is a motivational podcast, right? This is an inspirational podcast. Why are we talking about grief? I believe that grief is one of the few things that are constant in this world. And it is one of the hardest thing a person could experience. Now, grief comes from a loss, either from death of a loved one, or getting fired from a job, a breakup, a divorce. Anything that is a loss to someone, that can trigger the feeling of grief. Now, I personally know how hard it is to experience grief. How painful, how immobilizing, how lonely it feels to go through it. Which is why I wanted to create this podcast episode to hopefully reach people who are going through it and hopefully help them understand that what they're feeling and what they're experiencing is completely normal. If you're currently going through this, I just want you to know that whatever you're feeling right now, it's okay. It's normal. And you are not alone in this struggle. And if ever you feel lonely and it seems na wala kayong makausap or wala kayong mapagkwentuhan, my DMs are open. I am here. The podcast is here and my DMs are open 24/7. Just leave me a message if you want to talk about anything. And hopefully I could give you some tools how you can navigate through whatever you're struggling with. You could send me a message on @smalltalkpodcasts on Instagram or message me at my personal account. It's at AWFCuenca. If you're experiencing it right now, just leave me a message. I'm here. The podcast is here. And if you're not going through it, please don't skip on the podcast. You might know someone who does. And the only way we could be a better friend to them is to actually empathize with what they're going through. And maybe this podcast, and hopefully this podcast could give you a glimpse of what they're actually going through. So, do not skip on the podcast. And as I said, this is one of the constant things na nangyayari sa buhay natin. And you might go through it as well. And it is very hard to go through it without actually knowing na, okay, normal lang pala itong nararamdaman ko. I've been there. I remember back in 2017, I experienced my first ever heartbreak. And I thought that what I was experiencing was so unique that I closed my ears and my eyes and my heart to everybody who is reaching out to me. I felt so alone because I thought that nobody could understand me. Nobody could relate to what I'm feeling. Pero as I've done more research and now I know na whatever I went through was completely normal. And if ever I get to come across it again, I'll be better equipped. I know how to manage my emotions. Kasi 2017 was a really dark time for me. I was suicidal. And I know now na pag dumaan ulit ako sa ganon, hindi na mauulit yun. So that's mainly the purpose of why I'm doing this. To make you equipped. So if ever na maranasan nyo yun, you know how to deal with it. Okay, so now let's head on to the 6 stages of grief. Now, the first stage is the denial stage. Now, grief is an overwhelming emotion. And the first instinct na gagawin natin as human beings is to deny that emotion. Kasi sobra-sobra yun. And hindi agad nagagrasp ng utak natin yung reality na yun. Lalo na kung sobrang sakit at sobrang bigat nun. So, ang tendency, dinedeny ng utak natin yan. Hindi natin pinapapasok yung truth na yan sa utak natin. We deny it. For example, if someone leaves you, no, it's not true. He'll be around. He'll come back. Ganun yung iniisip natin. If someone died, no, that's not true. That couldn't be true. Kasama ko lang siya kanina eh. Kausap ko lang siya kahapon eh. Dinedeny ng utak natin kung ano yung nangyari. Kasi it's too much to handle. It's too much to comprehend. It's too much to understand. So, the instinct of our body, of our mind, is to deny the things na nangyayari. And that's the first stage. Some may experience shock. And then, denial stage. Kasi hindi pa kayang i-absorb ng katawan natin yung nangyayari. Kaya dinedeny pa natin yan. Pero, as we deny it more, gradually, pag nakaka-grasp na yung utak natin sa kung ano talaga nangyari. And then, as we move out of the denying stage, our emotions starts to come out. Kung ano yung mga inipon natin, kung ano yung mga tinago natin sa sarili natin, o dinay pa natin yung nangyari, lalabas yan. And that's where the second stage comes in. The second stage with the third stage and the fourth stage, hindi chronological yung pagkakasunod-sunod nito. Sometimes yung third, sometimes yung fourth, sometimes yung fifth yung nararanasan mo, ay sometimes yung second, sometimes yung second, sometimes yung third, sometimes yung fourth yung nararanasan mo. Sometimes di mo siya mararanasan, sometimes yung isa lang mararanasan mo or dalawa lang mararanasan mo. Itong tatlong to na pag-i-interchange yan eh. Hindi yan nangyayari chronologically. And that's what you need to understand. Na it doesn't follow the only thing that follows the only thing that is linear is the first and the last part. Pero the second, the third, the fourth, minsan 2 yung nararanasan mo, minsan 3 yung nararanasan mo, minsan 4 yung mararanasan mo. So hindi yan sunod-sunod. So yun lang, kailangan niyo lang maintindihan din yan. And the second stage is anger. Pag tapos na tayo sa denial, we get angry. We get pissed. We get mad at everything. At a certain person. At God. We get mad at God. We get mad at the universe. We get mad at life. And this is where our rational turns off. We become irrational with our actions. Galit tayo, gusto nating sumigaw, gusto nating manuntok, gusto nating magmura, gusto nang natin ilabas yung galit natin kasi galit na galit tayo. Sometimes we direct our anger to our ex, to our boss. Sometimes we direct our anger to God. God, tangina naman eh. God, why the heck is this happening to me? Sometimes you get mad at the universe na, why are you doing this to me? I've been good. I haven't done anything wrong. Why are you doing this? You get mad, you get angry, and ma-realize that you're hating everyone. You're hoping to get justice. Gusto mo suntukin, gusto mo makakuha ng hustisya. You want to get justice for what happened. And that's completely normal. That's the second stage of grief. You get angry. Akala ko ba mabait si Lord? Bakit hinayaan niya mangyari sa akin to? You get angry at Lord. You get angry at the universe. You get angry at life. At everything around you. That's the second stage of grief. The third stage of grief is bargaining. During grief, sobrang vulnerable mo. And you feel that you need to take the control back into your life. You feel like you need to regain control of your life. So you bargain. You bargain kay Lord na, okay, Lord, wag naman yan, ito na lang gawin mo sa akin. Pwede bang ganito na lang yung mangyari? You bargain with your ex na, okay, I'll try, we can work things out. We don't need to break up. I could change, I could stop whatever you don't want me to do. Just don't leave me, please. You're bargaining. You're bargaining at life. You start having this if only thoughts. Kung sana ginawa ko to. Kung sana I went there earlier. If only I went there earlier. If only I have done this. If only I had done this. If only I had done that. Then sana hindi nangyari to. Kung sana pumunta ako na mas maaga. Kung sana kinita ko siya kahapon. Kung sana naging mas mabuti akong tao sa kanya. Hindi mangyari to. You start bargaining with yourself. You start bargaining with life. And that's completely normal. And that's the third stages. That's the third stage of grief. Bargaining. Now the fourth stage of grief is depression. Depression. Such a heavy word, right? Depression. Now for me, this is the most crucial the most delicate stage of grief, depression. Being so down, feeling so lonely, feeling so depressed. Everything doesn't make sense. You don't want to get up in the morning. Pagkagising mo, you're going to ask, why is this happening to you? Why? What? Wala kang gana gawin lahat ng mga bagay. Gusto mo lang humika. Gusto mo lang matapos lahat. Gusto mo lang mawala yung sakit. That's the depression part. And some people get depressed in two ways. First, yung obvious na depression. They cry. They ask their friends to go out, labas tayo, inom tayo. They get addicted. They start indulging into different vices to take away the pain. That's the first side of depression. The second side of depression is the quiet depression, where you're all alone and you just don't feel like you have anyone to talk to, that no one could understand you, and you just want the pain to end. If you're going through that, it's completely normal. That means you're experiencing the fourth stage of grief. Depressed ka. And some people experience depression and stay in this stage for a very long time. But I'm telling you that this stage isn't the last stage. Meron pang fifth, meron pang sixth. So if you're in your fourth stage ng grief, this too shall pass. Like how you got out of the first stage, and the second stage, and the third stage. The depression stage may seem that you won't get out of it, but you will. Trust me, you will. If you experience the denial stage, you've experienced the anger and bargaining stage, and you're experiencing depression, then eventually you will experience the next stages. You need to remind yourself that. And that's the fourth stage, which is completely normal. The depression stage. Now, the fifth stage is the acceptance stage, where you start realizing what really happened. Na i-align mo na kung ano yung nangyari sa katotohanan. You start accepting that this really happened. That whatever you've gone through really happened. And this isn't the happy stage na, okay, na-accept mo na, pwede ka na maging masaya. No. Sometimes, kahit na-accept na natin, hindi pa rin nawawala yung sakit. And to be honest, some pain will always be there. Kahit anong gawin nating self-help, self-improvement, once we experience grief, there will always be a part of our heart inside of us will always hurt when we get to reflect na nangyari sa atin. It's a painful experience, and you can't take that away from anybody. And kahit nandun ka na sa fifth stage, which is acceptance, na natatanggap mo na okay, ito na pala yung nangyari. Okay, yung in-expect ko, hindi ganun yung nangyari, pero ganun yung nangyari. And na-accept mo na yun. Na-accept mo na nawalan ka, nawala na siya, nawala na yung pinanghahawakan mo, na-accept mo na yun, natanggap mo na yun. And this is one of the slowest stages that you could ever get to. And this is, and alam mo, acceptance, the acceptance stage, hindi naman to sinasabi niya na masaya na ulit ang buhay, no? It's just that you're accepting that there are bad things that are happening in your life. And there are good things na nangyayari din sa buhay mo. And you're just focusing now on the good things. Mas marami na lang ngayon yung good things. But there are still the bad days, bad things na nangyayari sa buhay mo, and that's okay. That's completely normal. You can accept na nangyari sa yun. while being positive about things. And this is where I tried to incorporate this sixth stage. Kasi I heard someone say this quote. We're talking about certain stuff, and then he said, "It is what it is. What you want me to do." And somehow it disguises as acceptance, right? It is what it is. I accepted it. It is what it is. Ganun na talaga eh. Pero I realized that some people are using it out of context. Using it wrongly. They're taking it out of context. Kasi if some people do, I saw na some people say it is what it is, na parang binibigay na nila sa universe. Hinahayaan na nila na i-dictate sila ng circumstances na pinagdadaanan nila. Na in-accept na lang nila ganun. Namatayan ako. Wala ganun. Namatayan ako. Acceptance. Period. And which is really, really painful to see kasi I really believe that there is more to what is happening to you right now. If you're experiencing it, I really believe that there is something more to the pain, to the grief that you are experiencing right now. So you shouldn't be just accepting it. It is what it is, diba? And that's why I wanted to add this sixth step. I haven't had a proper name about it, but I'll call it the moving on and getting better stage. Now, in this moving on and getting better stage, kasi a lot of people say, it is what it is, right? Acceptance, move on. Acceptance, tanggapin mo na lang, ganun nangyari. Pero there is a continuation with that kind of saying. It is what it is. So what are you going to do about it? And once we realize na we can actually do something about it, na whatever happened, hindi lang yun nangyari. Hindi lang natin kailangan tanggapin na ganun yun nangyari. We need to actually move on and get better. And how do we do that? We do that by finding the meaning of what happened. I really believe that you can only win or learn in life. And if you're in pain, then that means you can learn something from the pain. Hindi ka talo. Hindi ka nawalan. Hindi ka natapos. Hindi natapos doon. So, in this moving on, getting better stage, you start to do a little bit better every day to try and find the meaning of why it happened. The clarity, the upside, the lesson of that painful experience. You need to find it. You need to find the meaning of it. Because there is a hidden meaning behind every pain that you are experiencing. You just need to take the initiative and you need to make a decision that you will try to be better, to hopefully get to the next level, to hopefully move forward so you can understand the bigger picture, so you could connect the dots. There's this quote na I can't remember it, pero so it goes something like, you can only connect the dots moving backward. And hindi mo connect yung mga nangyayari kung bakit nangyayari yun if you are still in where you experience the pain. So you need to move on to that next level. So you need to do better every single day with the purpose of finding the meaning kung bakit nangyari yun. And that's the sixth stage. You just don't say, it is what it is. Ganun talaga nangyari. Don't do that. You say, ganun yung nangyari, anong gagawin ko ngayon? It is what it is, so what am I going to do about it? You need to ask yourself that question. Because there is more to the pain that you are experiencing and you are feeling right now. And that is the 6 stages of grief na sana idagdag nyo sa inyong 5 stages of grief. Whew. Okay. That's, I hope I made myself clear. Well, we could go on and on with talking about all the stages. If you want to clarify something about it, you can email me. Pero that's all I'm going to talk about right now in this podcast. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that if you are experiencing something that I have talked about, know it is completely normal, and you will get through the 4th, the 5th, the 6th stage. Kasi it's completely normal. I know that it's a completely personal experience, pero somehow, the more it is personal sa'yo, the more it is universal sa mundo. And if you have learned something today, please let me know. That ends the podcast. That ends the topic right now. Thank you kung maabot kayo dito. Maraming salamat ulit. Yun lang. I again, if you're listening to this podcast, please share it anywhere. And thank you personally. Kasi I really appreciate each and every one of you na umabot dito hanggang sa dulo. And before I end this, meron lang ulit ako maliit na announcement. The second announcement that I have is I am on the verge of finalizing this little project that I am working on. And this is, okay, I want to make a surprise, pero I will be launching inspirational merchandise. I will be selling stickers and of course t-shirts, so you could wear the message na gustong iparating itong podcast na to, and hopefully kung ano yung mga messages na gusto nating i-spread out, we could wear them, and we could also provide more awareness. I don't know, I'm still on finalizing the design and the details, pero I'll let you know soon. Pero I just want you to know that I'm working on it as of speaking. So please be excited about it, kasi that's one way you could support the podcast, and I really need your support as I go forward with the podcast. And yun lang. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Again, I am Alec Cuenca, and this is Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. Have a great night, have a great day, have a great week ahead of you. Peace. Talk to you next time.